drummed lightly against the grimy windows of the downtown cafe where Alina Vargas sat alone, her thumb running slowly over the edge of a paper cup. The cappuccino inside had already grown cold, its once pretty foam collapsed into a lifeless swirl. But she wasn't tasting it anyway. She kept replaying the moment in her head. Alina, it's not you. It's just that I have goals, and you slow me down. She had blinked, stunned. Slow him down? After everything she had done to support him? I need a girl who's already established, someone who already has something to offer. The words wouldn't leave her. They clung to her thoughts like burrs on fabric, impossible to shake off. And then the final blow. We're done. I'm leveling up, babe. You should, too. He walked away with his designer jacket slung over his shoulder, leaving her with a sinking heart, a cold coffee, and a silence louder than the most violent thunder. That was 3 hours ago. Alina still hadn't moved. What hurt most wasn't the breakup. Not really. It was the sudden clarity. She had built her life around someone who thought so little of her, and that made her ache in a way she didn't know how to voice. But something else stirred beneath the sorrow. A strange, hot pull inside her chest, anger, resolve, a spark of something she had forgotten she had. She didn't know yet. All she knew was this. He thought she had nothing to offer. He was so wrong. The shattered heart. Alina dragged her fogged-over gaze around the cafe. People were typing on laptops, chatting, taking photos of their lattes as though the world hadn't just tilted under her feet. The barista, a teenager with a neon-pink haircut, gave her a sympathetic look. "You okay over there?" they asked gently. Alina nodded, even though she felt anything but okay. Her phone buzzed again, a message from her ex, Leo. She shouldn't look. She knew she shouldn't. But her finger moved anyway. Leo. And don't text me later asking for another chance. I'm serious this time. The message punched the air from her lungs. He didn't just break up with her. He humiliated her. He wanted her to feel small. Her eyes burned. She stuffed her phone into her bag and wiped her cheeks quickly, hoping no one noticed. She wasn't going to break down here, not in public. She stood, tossed the cold cappuccino into the trash, and walked out into the rain. Water soaked her hair, her sweater, her pride. She barely noticed, but the universe had a strange sense of timing, because just as she turned the corner, head bowed, she collided with someone. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she stammered. A tall man with dark, warm eyes stepped back, steadying her by the elbow. "No harm done," he said, smiling gently. "You okay? You look like you've been walking through a storm longer than it's been raining." She let out a weak laugh. I guess you could say that." He nodded, but he didn't pry. He just held her gaze for a moment, long enough to make her feel seen. "Take care of yourself," he said, simply. Then he walked off. She turned to watch him go, thinking she recognized him from somewhere, but her thoughts were too foggy to place it. She didn't know it yet. But that brief encounter would change her life in ways she could never have imagined. The fall. Before the rise home was a shoebox apartment on the 4th floor of a building older than her grandmother. The elevator hadn't worked in 2 years. The neighbors fought through the walls. The AC haven't been loyal since spring. She collapsed onto her bed, a sagging mattress on a metal frame, and let the tears finally come. She cried until her ribs hurt, until her sweater clung to her, until the heaviness in her chest was too much to hold in. But life had a funny way of delivering truth in the middle of breakdowns. When she finally wiped her eyes and looked around her room, she noticed something she hadn't seen in a long time. The corner where her sketchbook lay untouched. She hadn't drawn for months, hadn't allowed herself time. Leo always told her art wasn't real work, that she should get serious about her future and stop wasting time on cute little sketches. Her throat tightened. That spark in her chest, the one she'd felt earlier, flickered again. She got up, walked to the corner, picked up the sketchbook. When she opened it, the smell of paper and graphite hit her like a wave of nostalgia. The last drawing she had done was dated 7 months ago. A woman standing on a cliff, hair blowing in the wind, staring at the sunrise. Alina touched the drawing's edge. "What happened to you?" she whispered to herself. She knew the answer. Leo happened. He had sucked up her time, her creativity, her self-worth, and she had let him. She grabbed a pencil and sat down on the floor. At first, her hand trembled, but then it moved, slowly, then faster. Lines formed. Shapes emerged. Her pain poured out onto the page in ways words never could. She drew a heart, cracked, but not broken, held together with golden seams like kintsugi pottery, stronger where it had once fractured. When she set the pencil down, she realized she was breathing again, deeply, fully, like she hadn't in months. She stared at the drawing, and something deep inside her whispered, "Start again. The first step." The next morning, Alina woke with the sketchbook still on her lap. Her back hurt from sleeping on the floor, but she didn't care. She felt lighter. She checked her phone out of habit. No new messages. Good. She opened her sketchbook again, and before she knew it, she was sketching another image, a girl climbing out of rubble, reaching toward a glowing horizon. Then another drawing, and another. Hours passed. The sun rose and fell behind the blinds. She had forgotten the feeling, creating, losing track of time because her mind was immersed in something that felt like breathing. By evening, she had filled 11 pages, and an idea struck her, an idea that made her sit up straight. What if she shared her art? Not on some anonymous fan page, not hidden away, but for real. What if she sold it? She almost laughed at the thought. Who would buy her drawings? But then she remembered Leo's voice telling her she wasn't talented enough, that art was a hobby, not a future, that she shouldn't embarrass him by posting amateur work online. Her jaw tightened. Maybe it was time to do things because she wanted to, not because someone else approved. She scanned her drawings with her phone, made a simple website using a free template. Uploaded everything. It wasn't perfect. She didn't need it to be. She clicked publish before she could overthink it. Her heart pounded. Then, nothing happened. Of course nothing happened. But still, she had created something. She had put herself out there, and for the first time in a long time, she was proud of herself. A stranger returns. 3 days later, when she checked her email, something unexpected waited there. A notification. Her heart raced. "Your store has received 1 new purchase." She froze. "One," she whispered. She clicked it open. Someone had bought one of her sketches, the kintsugi heart. The buyer left a note. "Your lines carry emotion. Don't stop creating." No name, just initials, RK. Her mind immediately pictured the man she bumped into outside the cafe. Warm eyes, gentle voice. Could it be him? Probably not. But the thought alone made her smile. She packaged the drawing carefully, tied it with twine, and walked it to the post office. As she slid the envelope across the counter, a warm surge filled her chest. Someone valued her work, someone she didn't even know. It wasn't about the money, though she desperately needed it. It was the validation, the reminder that she could build something of her own. That night, inspired, she sketched again, and posted again. And for the first time, she also shared a drawing on her social media. The caption was simple: "Healing is messy, but art helps." She expected nothing, but within an hour her post had dozens of likes, more than anything she had ever posted. By morning, one of her drawings had been reshared over 200 times. Her hands trembled. Something was happening, something big. The opportunity. 2 weeks passed, and Alina found herself packing more and more envelopes. Her website traffic soared. She received messages from strangers telling her art comforted them, inspired them, made them feel less alone. Then came the message that changed everything, an email from Helios Media, one of the largest lifestyle magazines in the region. She read it 3 times to make sure it was real. We saw your artwork circulating online and would love to commission original illustrations for our upcoming mental health series. If you are open to freelance work, we'd like to discuss details and compensation. She dropped her phone. Her art? A real publication? Paid work? She whooped so loudly her elderly neighbor banged on the wall to quiet her down. She didn't care. She emailed back immediately. 2 days later, she walked into the Helios Media building wearing her one decent blazer and a pair of thrifted shoes she had polished until they looked new. The editor, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyeliner and a warm smile, greeted her. "Alina Vargas," she said. "I've been looking forward to meeting the artist behind the sketches that have been going viral all week." "Viral?" Alina squeaked. The editor grinned. "Haven't you checked your posts?" Alina shook her head. The editor slid her phone across the table. Alina stared. One of her drawings, the girl climbing from rubble, had over 180,000 likes, thousands of shares, hundreds of comments praising her talent. She felt dizzy. The editor spoke again. "We want to feature you, not just your work. You. An interview. A spotlight. A 3-month illustration contract if you're up for it." Alina swallowed hard. "Yes," she whispered. Then louder. "Yes, I'm definitely up for it." For the first time, someone saw her talent without minimizing it, without seeing it as a hobby, without telling her she wasn't enough. She left the building with a folder of contracts and a heart so full she felt she might float. But fate wasn't done with her yet, because when she stepped outside, she bumped into someone familiar, the man from the cafe. "You again," he said, smiling. She laughed. "Looks like it. You seem happier this time." "I am." He tilted his head. "Good. The world needs more happy people." She hesitated, then asked, Did you happen to buy a drawing from a small online shop recently?" He blinked. Then he smiled, slow and warm. "I did. The one with the golden heart." Her breath caught. "So it was you," she said. He shrugged lightly. "I saw the art. It looked like someone put their soul into it. Figured it needed to be encouraged." "Thank you," she said softly. "Any time." He was about to walk away but then turned. "Oh, I never gave you my name. I'm Rafael." "Alina. Nice to officially meet you, Alina." He gave a small nod and left. She watched him go. This time, she didn't wonder where she recognized him from. She was too busy wondering what else her future had in store. The rise begins. The next month was a whirlwind. Her illustrations were published across Helios Media. Her website orders tripled. Her social media exploded. And then, unbelievably, a celebrity reposted one of her drawings with the caption, "This art feels like therapy." She went from selling a few sketches a week to hundreds of prints. Brands reached out. Companies asked for commissions. Podcasts requested interviews. Her small apartment became a workshop exploding with paper, packaging supplies, and ink. Her income, once barely enough to cover rent, soared. She upgraded her website, bought real art supplies instead of cheap pencils, even moved into a slightly bigger, brighter apartment. She was still far from rich, but she was on her way, and for the first time, she believed she could make it. When the past shows up, success has a strange way of echoing through the world. It reaches places one never intended it to reach. And one afternoon, While Alina was answering customer emails with a cup of jasmine tea steaming beside her, her phone buzzed. A name appeared on the screen. Leo. Her stomach clenched. For a second, she considered ignoring it, blocking him, pretending he didn't exist in the new universe she had begun building. But she had spent too long letting fear dictate her reactions. So she answered. Alina. Wow, it's been a while. His voice dripped casual charm, the same tone he always used when he wanted something. Yes, it has, she said coolly. I saw your art thing online, he said, as though her rapidly rising career were a hobby she had pasted onto a refrigerator. Congrats, babe. Didn't know you had it in you. She almost laughed. Didn't know she had it in her. She had always had it. He had simply never bothered to look. What do you want, Leo? He chuckled awkwardly. Straight to the point, okay. I was thinking we could catch up. Maybe get dinner. I've been missing you. Her jaw tightened. She imagined her old self, the Alina who once shaped her dreams around someone else's comfort, running back the moment someone said, I miss you. But that girl was gone. It's not happening, she said simply, and don't call me again. He sputtered for a moment, taken aback. He wasn't used to her choosing herself. Wait, Alina, don't be like that. I just thought... You thought I'd still be waiting for you, she finished. Goodbye, Leo. She ended the call and dropped her phone onto the table. For a long moment, she sat in silence. Then a slow, relieved smile spread across her face. She wasn't angry. She wasn't hurt. She wasn't even tempted. She was free. And her future was now entirely hers. Rafael returns again. 2 weeks later, Alina was on her way to a local art supply shop when she heard someone call her name. She turned. Rafael jogged toward her, looking slightly out of breath but smiling. Alina, I wasn't sure it was you. She smiled back, surprised at how happy she was to see him. Hey, running errands. Something like that. He scratched his neck sheepishly. Actually, I was hoping to run into you again. Her heart flickered. Really? He nodded. Your art has been everywhere. I wanted to congratulate you in person. A warm flush crept up her cheeks. Thank you. It still feels surreal. It suits you, he said simply. What does? Success. She blinked. He said it with such honesty, no envy, no agenda, that she didn't know how to respond. After a moment, she cleared her throat. So, you're an art fan? I'm a people with passion fan, he said with a grin. It's rare to find someone who pours their soul into what they do. She looked down, smiling softly. Well, I'm trying. You're doing more than trying. They walked together toward the art shop, conversation flowing easily. He told her he worked in tech, mostly freelance software projects, but spent his free time reading and hiking. She told him about her hectic schedule, her commissions, her surprising interview requests. By the time they reached the shop, Rafael glanced inside, then hesitated. I should let you go, he said. But if you're ever free, I'd love to take you out for coffee. No pressure. Her heart drummed faster, but not fearfully, excitedly. I'd like that, she said. He smiled, warm and sincere. Perfect. I'll text you. She nodded, gave him her number, and watched him disappear into the crowd. As she stepped into the art supply store, she caught her reflection in a mirror near the entrance. She looked happy. Unexpectedly, undeniably happy. And for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to embrace that. Building a brand. The next month transformed into a blur of productivity. Alina's audience grew almost faster than she could keep up with. Another magazine requested an interview. A therapist bought bulk prints for her clinic walls. A bookstore asked if she'd be interested in doing a signing event. Then, one afternoon, an email arrived that made her stop breathing. A publishing company wanted her to illustrate a full book, a collection of short, inspirational stories about healing. The pay was more than she had ever earned in a single project, more than 6 months of her old office salary. She reread the offer 5 times. Her hands trembled. She accepted before she could talk herself out of it. As the weeks passed, she worked harder than she ever had, but it didn't feel like work. She woke early, sketched at sunrise, drank tea while reviewing drafts, took long walks to clear her head, and returned to her desk with new ideas every day. Her apartment filled with piles of concept art. Her fingers were stained with graphite and ink. Her mind buzzed with creativity. She had never felt more alive, but with growth came pressure. One evening, after working 10 hours straight, she leaned back in her chair, exhausted. Her vision blurred slightly from staring at her screen too long. She needed air. So she texted Rafael. "You busy?" He responded within seconds. "For you?" "Never. Want to meet at the boardwalk?" She grabbed her jacket and headed out. The boardwalk. The boardwalk overlooked the quiet waves of the bay. Lamp posts glowed softly. A gentle breeze stirred her hair. Rafael was already there, leaning against the railing with his hands in his pockets. When he saw her, he smiled, that warm, grounding smile she was quickly growing fond of. "You look tired," he said softly. "I feel tired," she admitted. "Burning yourself out?" She sighed. "Maybe a little. There's just so much. I don't want to mess anything up." He turned to face her fully. "Alina," he said gently, "you need to breathe." She stared at him. He reached for her hand, slow enough that she could pull away. She didn't. His fingers wrapped around hers, warm, steady, comforting. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone," he said. "You're allowed to rest. Success isn't a sprint." Her throat tightened unexpectedly. She didn't know why his words hit so deeply. Maybe because he didn't want anything from her. He didn't tell her to push harder, didn't minimize her exhaustion, didn't make her feel like she existed only to boost him. He simply cared. She swallowed. "Would you walk with me?" she asked. "Always." They walked along the water's edge, talking about everything and nothing. Childhood stories, irrational fears, silly confessions. Alina found herself laughing so hard at one of his jokes, she doubled over, gasping for breath. She couldn't remember the last time she had laughed like that. When they reached the end of the boardwalk, Rafael turned to her. His expression softened. "Alina, I like you. I don't want to rush you or overwhelm you, but I needed to say it." Her heart fluttered violently. She took a breath, then another. "Rafael, I like you too," she whispered. "A lot." Relief flooded his features. He took a half step closer. "Can I?" She nodded before he finished the question. He kissed her, slow, gentle, reverent. It wasn't fiery, it wasn't desperate, it was steady, meaningful, a promise, not a demand. When they parted, Alina felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The invitation. 2 months later, Alina's first major book project was officially completed. Her publisher invited her to a gala event, a formal evening showcasing new authors and artists. The email read, "We would be honored if you attended and spoke briefly about your creative journey." She stared at the word honored for several minutes. This was real. This was happening, but nerves gnawed at her. Standing on a stage, speaking in front of hundreds. She couldn't imagine anything more terrifying. She called Rafael. He listened quietly as she explained. Then he said, "I'll be there, in the front row." Her breath hitched. "You will?" "Always," he said. She smiled nervously. "Then I guess I can do this. You can do anything." The gala. The night of the gala, Alina wore a soft champagne-colored dress that shimmered under the lights. She had never worn anything so elegant in her life. Her hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders. She barely recognized herself in the hotel mirror. But Rafael, waiting in the lobby in a dark tailored suit, recognized her immediately. His eyes widened. "You look incredible," he said, breathless. "You look pretty incredible yourself," she said, cheeks warming. The event hall was enormous, filled with chandeliers, velvet seating, and hundreds of people dressed in high fashion. Alina felt her knees weaken. Rafael squeezed her hand. "You've got this." She nodded, exhaling shakily. When her name was called, she walked onto the stage with trembling legs. But as she reached the podium, her eyes found Rafael in the crowd. He wasn't just watching her, he was rooting for her. And suddenly, her fear dissolved. She spoke. About heartbreak, about losing herself, about finding healing through art, about the courage it took to start again. She didn't mention Leo by name, but she described how someone once made her feel small, and how she discovered she didn't need their approval to shine. The crowd applauded. Some even stood. Alina stepped off the stage in disbelief. Rafael met her halfway. "You were perfect," he said softly. She wrapped her arms around him and whispered, "Thank you. For everything." He held her tightly. "You don't owe me anything," he murmured. "Just keep being you." The offer that changed everything. The gala ended around midnight. People mingled, shared business cards, complimented her speech, and praised her artistry. But the biggest moment came when a silver-haired man in a designer suit approached her. "Miss Vargas," he said with a smile, "I'm Adrian Leone, founder of Leone Creative Studios." Her eyes widened. Everyone knew Leone Studios, one of the largest creative agencies in the country. They represented major artists, illustrators, designers, and creators. "It's an honor," she said, trying not to faint. "Likewise," he said, "your work is extraordinary, raw yet refined, emotional yet controlled. I believe your career is just beginning, and I want to help you shape the next chapter." Her breath stalled. Then he handed her his card. "We'd like to offer you a partnership contract," he said. "We'll handle your marketing, publishing opportunities, brand deals, licensing, all of it. You focus on creating. Let us take you global." Global. Her head spun. Rafael stood beside her, watching her expression, his eyes warm but not surprised. Adrian continued, "Think about it. But I'll warn you, we move fast. When talent shines, the world tends to notice." He walked away, leaving Alina speechless, trembling, overwhelmed. Rafael touched her back gently. "This is huge." I don't know if I'm ready," she whispered. He cupped her cheek softly. "Alina, you weren't just ready. You were born for this." Tears filled her eyes. For the first time since the day Leo walked away, she felt unstoppable. The cost of success. For the next several days, Alina kept Adrian Leone's business card on her desk. Not tucked away, not hidden, right in front of her, where she couldn't ignore it. His offer replayed in her mind like a song she couldn't turn off. A partnership contract, global reach, licensing, marketing, representation. It was everything she once believed she didn't deserve. Everything she once believed she wasn't capable of. Now she was being told she could be global, but something in her chest twisted each time she imagined signing. Fear, not of failure, of losing herself. She had built her art from a place of pain, a deeply personal space where healing took shape in graphite lines and soft watercolors. It belonged to her soul, her story, her heart. What if a big studio molded it into something she didn't recognize? What if she became a brand instead of an artist? What if success came at the cost of authenticity? Her phone buzzed. Rafael. His message was simple. "How's your head? How's your heart?" She smiled despite herself. "Crowded," she typed back. But I'm okay. Want company? Always. 20 minutes later, he knocked on her door. She opened it and found him standing there with 2 steaming cups of lavender tea. I come bearing beverages, he said, lifting 1 cup with a grin. She laughed softly. You're too good to me. I like being good to you. They settled onto the couch, sipping tea in comfortable silence until Rafael spoke. You want to talk about it? She hesitated before nodding. I'm excited, she admitted. And terrified. What if this is too big? What if I get swallowed up by it? What if I start creating for them, not for me? Rafael watched her quietly, letting her release the thoughts she'd kept locked inside. And what if, he said gently, they help you reach people who need your art the most? What if this lets your message spread further than you ever imagined? What if you become the artist you were always meant to be? She swallowed. But I don't want to lose control. You won't, he said simply, because you know who you are. You fought too hard to rediscover her, to let her slip away again. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you, she whispered, for believing in me. He kissed the top of her head. Always. The contract. The meeting at Leone Creative Studios was held in a glass skyscraper overlooking the city. Alina felt small as she stepped into the marble-floored lobby. Small, but also ready. A receptionist greeted her, led her upstairs, and then into a large conference room where Adrian Leone himself awaited her. He stood when she entered. Ms. Vargas, he said warmly, delighted you could make it. Thank you for inviting me, she replied, trying not to show her nerves. They sat across from each other. Adrian handed her a folder. This, he said, is the proposed contract. Nothing is final until you want it to be. Let's walk through it. He explained everything in clear, digestible terms. She would retain creative rights, final approval on all projects, royalty percentages that made her head spin, marketing budget entirely covered by the studio. We believe in artists maintaining their identity, Adrian said. We don't want to change your voice. We want to amplify it. She studied him carefully. He wasn't flattering her. He wasn't overselling. He was confident in her because he'd seen hundreds of rising stars before, and he thought she was one of them. How soon would this begin? She asked. Immediately, he said. You're on the brink of a breakout moment. We want to help you seize it. She inhaled slowly. I'll need time to review it, she said. Of course, Adrian replied. Take all the time you need, but not too much. Momentum waits for no one. As she left the building hours later, contract folder in hand, the sky was painted in gold and violet. She felt the world shifting beneath her. Something inside whispered, Your life is about to change. Pressure points. The next week brought more opportunities and more pressure. Her inbox erupted with collaboration offers. Companies wanted murals. Authors wanted book covers. Brands wanted to use her illustrations in their campaigns. Her social media follower count grew by thousands daily. She loved the recognition. She loved the message behind her success. But the constant notifications, the deadlines, the interviews, they began to weigh on her. One evening, her hand cramped so badly from drawing that she had to stop and massage her fingers. She stared at the unfinished sketch on her desk. A girl trapped in a whirlwind of papers, deadlines, and expectations. Maybe I'm drawing myself, she thought. She closed her eyes, pressing her forehead against her palm. She needed a break. She needed air. She needed... A knock sounded at the door. She opened it to find Rafael holding a paper bag that smelled deliciously of warm dinner. I had a hunch, he said. She stepped aside, relief washing over her. You always show up exactly when I need you. That's because I pay attention. They ate quietly at her small kitchen table. Rafael watched her for a moment, then spoke gently. "You're burning out," she sighed. "I know. You don't have to do everything at once, Alina." "But what if the world stops paying attention?" she whispered. He leaned forward, eyes warm but firm. "If the world needs your art, it will stay, and if it doesn't, then the world is foolish. But either way, your value doesn't change." Her chest tightened. "You make it sound so simple," she murmured. "Love is simple," he said softly. "Work doesn't have to be complicated either." She froze. Love. He hadn't said it casually, he meant it. She looked at him, heart pounding, breath caught in her throat. "Rafael," she whispered. He reached across the table, taking her hand. "You don't have to say anything yet. I just needed you to know." Her heart softened, melted, trembled. She squeezed his hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for being patient." He smiled. "For you. Always." The call that changed everything. At 3 a.m, Alina's phone buzzed. Groggy and disoriented, she answered without checking the caller ID. "Hello?" a frantic voice replied. "Alina, oh my God, finally! I've been trying to reach you everywhere." It took her several seconds to recognize the voice. "Leo." Her heart sank. "What do you want?" she said, exhausted. "I need to talk to you," he blurted. "Please, it's important. I messed up." She rubbed her eyes. "Leo, it's the middle of the night. I know, but everything's falling apart. My job fired me, my girlfriend broke up with me, and I need someone to talk to." Alina froze. Girlfriend? So he had left her for someone else, and now that person had abandoned him too. "It sounds like you have a lot going on," she said carefully. "But I'm not the person who can fix it." "But you've always been good to me," he pleaded. I need you, Alina." Her grip on the phone tightened. The old Alina would have caved. The old Alina would have sacrificed her peace to stabilize someone else. But not anymore. "I'm sorry for what you're going through," she said. "But you don't get to use me as a backup plan. I'm not available for you." "Alina," she hung up. Her hands were shaking, not from fear but from adrenaline. She had chosen herself, again. And it felt powerful. She placed her phone on the nightstand and whispered into the darkness, "You don't get to break me twice." The decision. The next morning she read through the contract again, slowly, carefully. Something clicked. She wasn't signing because she was afraid of missing out. She wasn't signing because the world expected it. She was signing because she was ready. Ready to grow, ready to expand, ready to become the fullest version of herself. She called Adrian. "I'd like to accept the partnership," she said. Adrian exhaled, a sound of satisfaction and confidence. "Excellent choice," he replied. "You won't regret it." As she hung up, she felt the future unfurl in front of her, like a golden road. She texted Rafael. "Guess what?" He responded instantly. "You signed it." "How did you know?" "Because today felt like your day." She smiled at her screen. "Lunch to celebrate?" "On me." His reply was immediate. "I'll be there in 10. Her life was changing faster than she ever imagined. But for the first time, she didn't feel scared. She felt unstoppable. The world opens. Within days of joining Leone Creative Studios, her world transformed. A new website, professional branding, a scheduled interview with a major TV network, and, unbelievably, a message from a global mental health nonprofit requesting to feature her artwork in a nationwide campaign. Her inbox felt like a dream. She walked into Rafael's apartment one evening, grinning ear to ear. He looked up from his laptop. "Good day?" "Great day," she said breathlessly. "They want my art in their national campaign. This could help so many people." He got up and wrapped her in a hug, lifting her slightly off the ground. "That's incredible. See? This is what happens when the world finally sees you. She laughed, burying her face in his shoulder. You make it sound so simple. It is, he said softly. You deserve everything that's coming. She looked up at him. Rafael, I don't think I've ever been this happy. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. Me neither. He kissed her, slow, deep, filled with meaning, and in that moment, everything felt exactly right. The shadow of the past, but success, as always, invited shadows. As Alina's online presence grew, so did attention from people she never expected. Jealous acquaintances who once dismissed her now sent fake compliments. Distant relatives suddenly remembered her existence. Brands wanted to collab for exposure, hoping she'd work for free. And then, Leo. Again. He messaged her on 3 different platforms, left comments on her posts, even tried calling her from a different number. Each message grew increasingly desperate. Alina, please, just talk to me. I was stupid, I see that now. I miss you. I need you. We were good together. Don't forget that. Please, don't ignore me. I'm sorry. She blocked every account, but deep down, she felt something unsettling. Not fear, not guilt, just clarity. Leo wasn't reaching out because he loved her. He was reaching out because he lost control, and now saw her succeeding without him. She realized he had never wanted a partner. He had wanted a dependency, someone he could shape, someone he could keep small. And seeing her grow, seeing her loved, seeing her rise, it shattered the illusion he once held over her. Her heart didn't ache for him. Her heart ached for the version of herself who once believed his words. She whispered to her reflection, "You deserved better all along." And she meant it. The break through a door that never closed. 2 months later, Alina's life had transformed into a beautiful, dizzying whirlwind. Her partnership with Millionaire Creative Studios flourished. Her artwork appeared in magazines, clinics, and online campaigns. Her following grew into the hundreds of thousands. But with growth came responsibility. And with responsibility came exhaustion, hidden beneath a smile she put on for the world. One evening, she sat alone at her desk, surrounded by drafts, deadlines, and half-finished sketches. Her apartment, once peaceful and minimalist, now overflowed with boxes of merchandise, stacks of prints, and an ever-growing pile of unopened mail. She exhaled shakily. She loved this life. She loved the impact she was making. But she was tired, deeply tired. Her phone buzzed. Rafael. She considered ignoring it, not because she didn't want to talk to him, but because she didn't want him to hear the fatigue in her voice. But she answered anyway. "Hey," she said softly. "You okay?" he asked immediately. A small laugh escaped her. "How do you always know?" "I can hear it," he said. "Your voice gets quiet when you're overwhelmed." She leaned back in her chair, eyes closing. "I'm juggling too much," she admitted. "I don't want to mess anything up. I'm just one person." "You're one person doing the work of 10, he said gently. "It's okay to slow down. The world won't forget you." A pause. "I'm not worried about the world forgetting me," she whispered. I don't want to let anyone down." There was a long silence on the line. Then Rafael said, "You won't. You never have." Her throat tightened. "You want me to come over?" She hesitated only a moment. "Yes," she breathed. "Please." 20 minutes later, her doorbell rang. When she opened the door, Rafael stepped inside and immediately wrapped his arms around her, pulling her into a grounding, steadying embrace. "You don't have to be strong all the time," he murmured. Her eyes stung. "I know. You've climbed mountains," he said. "You're allowed to rest at the top." She nodded against his shoulder, letting herself lean on him, something she was still learning how to do. A perfect imperfection. Rafael stayed with her for hours, helping her organize tasks, break down deadlines, and create a realistic schedule. He didn't take control. He simply helped her breathe. "You're allowed to say no," he reminded her. "I know." "Do you?" She laughed softly. "I'm trying." As they sorted through emails, Rafael picked up a small envelope from the pile of unopened mail. "This looks personal," he said, handing it to her. She opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter from a girl named Marley, age 14. "Your art saved me. I was dealing with anxiety and didn't know how to tell anyone. Then I saw your drawing of the girl climbing out of the rubble. It made me feel like maybe I can climb out too. Thank you for making me feel seen." A tear slipped down Alina's cheek. Rafael watched her quietly, then touched her hand. "This is your purpose," he said softly. "Not algorithms, not deadlines, not trends. This." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "That's why I keep going," she whispered. "And you will," he said, "but at your pace, on your terms." She looked up at him, heart full. "You're good for me," she said quietly. He brushed a thumb over her cheek. "You're good for the world." The first crack. Her rising fame brought opportunity, but it also brought attention she didn't want. Articles analyzing her love life, blog posts speculating about her past, comments questioning her authenticity, and then the first real crack. Someone leaked an old photo of her and Leo together. The internet predictably erupted. Who is this guy? Why did they break up? Did he inspire her art? Is he coming back? Is she still in love with him? Alina felt physically ill as she scrolled through the comments. This was exactly what she feared. Her private life, dissected for entertainment. She called Rafael. He arrived in 10 minutes. When she showed him the photo, he exhaled heavily. "People can be cruel," he said, "but this doesn't define you." "They're turning him into a part of my story again," she whispered. "A story I finished." "You finished it," he agreed, "but the world doesn't know that, so tell them." She looked at him. "How?" "By being honest," he said softly. "You don't need to expose details. Just share your truth." She nodded slowly, and later that night she wrote a post. Not defensive, not dramatic, just honest. Everyone has chapters they don't want to reread. This is one of mine. But it is a chapter, not the story. The story is about healing, growing, and learning to choose yourself. I'm grateful for where I am now. I'm grateful for the people who support me. And I'm grateful that I'm no longer who I used to be. She attached one of her drawings, a girl stepping out of a shadow, light blooming behind her. The post went viral, not because of scandal, but because of courage. The interview. A week later, Alina had her biggest TV interview yet, a nationally broadcast morning show. Rafael offered to drive her, but she insisted on taking a rideshare. She wanted to walk into the studio alone, feeling independent and strong. But once she was backstage, waiting to be called onto the set, nerves clawed up her spine. Her heart raced, her palms dampened, her breath quickened. She closed her eyes. "You're okay," she whispered to herself. "You're okay. You've come too far to panic now." When she opened her eyes, a young producer stood in front of her. "You're on in 30 seconds, the producer said. "Ready?" Alina nodded, though she wasn't sure she was. She walked onto the stage, lights blinding her, cameras pointing directly at her. She took her seat. The host smiled warmly. "So, Alina Vargas," she began, "you've become one of the fastest-growing artists of the decade. What's your secret?" Alina inhaled. "My secret," she said, "is that I stopped trying to be perfect. I started drawing how I felt, not how I thought people wanted me to feel." The host nodded. And recently you posted about leaving a difficult relationship in the past. That took a lot of courage. How did you find the strength?" Alina paused, choosing her words. "I realized I was building a life around someone who didn't want me to grow. Once I stepped away, I finally had space to become who I'm meant to be." The host smiled. "Many people watching today will relate to that." The interview continued smoothly until the host asked, "Are you seeing anyone now?" Alina blinked. In the corner of the studio, she saw Rafael. He had come after all. He stood behind the crowd, half hidden, watching her with a subtle, reassuring smile. And in that moment, Alina felt brave. "I am," she said softly, "someone who supports my dreams instead of shrinking them." The audience responded with a gentle wave of awes. Rafael's smile widened, and for the first time on national television, Alina felt completely, unapologetically herself. The award. 3 months later, Alina received an invitation. The National Creative Impact Awards. "You have been nominated Artist of the Year." Her breath caught. Artist of the Year. She sat on her couch in stunned silence until Rafael arrived. When she showed him the letter, he froze, then scooped her up and spun her around. "You deserve this," he whispered against her hair. "Every bit of it." The night of the awards ceremony, Alina wore a midnight blue gown that shimmered like the ocean. Her hair was pinned elegantly at the back of her neck. Rafael, in a charcoal suit, couldn't stop staring. "You look unreal," he murmured. "So do you," she whispered. They entered the ballroom together, hand in hand, cameras flashing, journalists calling her name. Alina felt overwhelmed, but protected, anchored by Rafael's steady presence beside her. When the winner for Artist of the Year was announced, Alina didn't expect to hear her name, but she did. "Alina Vargas!" The room erupted in applause. Her knees weakened, her heart pounded. Rafael squeezed her hand once, then let her go. "Go," he whispered. "This is your moment." She walked onto the stage, eyes watering. The award in her hands sparkled under the lights. "My journey started with heartbreak," she said into the microphone, "but pain can become fuel, and healing can become art." The audience was silent, hanging on her every word. "I learned that you don't need someone to complete you. You need someone who doesn't compete with you, someone who stands beside you as you grow." She glanced at Rafael. He stood watching her, eyes shining. "This award," she continued, "isn't about fame. It's about every person who ever felt small and learned they weren't." The audience rose in a standing ovation. Alina wiped a tear as she stepped off the stage. Rafael met her halfway, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. And then, quietly, so only she could hear, "I love you." She froze, then her heart burst open like sunrise. "I love you too," she whispered back. The silence before the storm, but every rise invites a storm, and Alina's storm came in a way she never expected. One morning she woke to dozens of missed calls, hundreds of messages, thousands of comments. Her heart dropped as she saw the headlines. Ex-boyfriend of viral artist claims he made her career. Leo Ramirez says he inspired every drawing. Alina Vargas exploited their relationship for fame. Her breath caught painfully in her throat. Leo had gone on a podcast, a popular one, and told the world that her success was thanks to him, that he motivated her, that he inspired her art, that he supported her dreams. He painted himself as a martyr, and her as the villain who abandoned him. Alina felt sick, utterly sick. She called Rafael immediately. He answered on the first ring. "I saw it," he said, voice steady. "I'm on my way." "No," her voice cracked. I don't know what to do." "Yes," Rafael said firmly. "You do. You always do. And I'm coming over." 20 minutes later, he found her curled on the couch, hands shaking. He sat beside her. "Look at me," he said gently. She lifted her tear-stained eyes. "This is a lie," he said. "A desperate lie from someone who's losing control." "But the world believes him," she whispered. "They're calling me manipulative, saying I used him for fame, saying I—" She broke down. Rafael pulled her into his chest. "Then we tell the truth," he said, "but on your terms, not his." She shook her head. "I don't want a public fight." "This isn't a fight," Rafael said softly. "This is reclaiming your story." "But what if I lose everything?" she whispered. Rafael held her face in his hands. "Alina, you've built everything on honesty, empathy, and courage. The truth will protect you. And I will too." Her grief slowed, her breathing steadied, and deep inside a quiet fire rekindled. She would not let her story be stolen. Not again. Not ever. The truth that sets her free. The morning after Leo's lies exploded across the internet, Alina felt as though the world had dimmed. She stood in her living room, staring blankly out the window as rain streaked down the glass. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside her. Her phone vibrated endlessly. Notifications, comments, interview requests, reporters asking for statements. People demanding explanations. Some messages were supportive, but many were cruel. She closed her eyes, gripping the windowsill. It shouldn't hurt this much. She knew Leo was lying. She knew the truth. But there is something profoundly agonizing about being misunderstood, about having your character questioned by strangers who never knew your heart. A soft knock sounded at the door. Rafael didn't wait for her to answer. She had given him the spare key months ago. He stepped inside, soaked from the rain, hair dripping, breath uneven. It looked like he had run all the way here. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice trembling with worry. "No," she whispered. He crossed the room in 3 long strides and wrapped her in a desperate, protective embrace. She melted into him, his warmth, his steadiness, his scent. The way he held her as though she were something precious, something fragile but worth guarding with his life. "I'm here," he murmured against her hair. "You're not facing this alone." Her voice cracked. "I don't want people to think he made me, that he saved me, that I owe him everything." Rafael held her tighter. "You don't owe him anything. You owe yourself everything." She pressed her forehead against his chest. "Then why does it hurt so much?" "Because lies hurt. Because betrayal hurts. Because you're human." He tipped her chin up gently. "But listen to me," he whispered. "Truth always wins, and you aren't the broken girl he walked away from. You're the woman who built an empire from rubble." Her lips trembled. He continued, voice soft and fierce. "You healed yourself. You rose on your own. You fought for your future. You built your art from scars, not from him. Nothing he says can rewrite who you are." A tear ran down her cheek. Rafael kissed it away. "You survived him," he whispered. "Now, let the world know it. The video seen around the world." Rafael sat beside her as she opened her camera to record. Her hands shook, her breathing hitched, but her eyes were steady, burning with quiet fire. She pressed record. The red light blinked, and she spoke, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with truth. "Hi, everyone. I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about this. But if I've learned anything, it's that silence can become prison bars." She inhaled slowly. "There's been a lot said about my past relationship, a lot of assumptions, a lot of lies." Her throat tightened, but she continued. "I didn't become an artist because someone made me. I became an artist because I was broken, and I needed to heal." She looked down briefly, then back up, stronger. I didn't leave that relationship because I wanted fame. I left because I needed peace, because I deserved respect, because sometimes the bravest thing we can do is walk away. Rafael squeezed her hand off camera. Alina felt his strength, and it helped her find her own. My art was born from struggle, she said, but that struggle made me who I am. Not someone else, me. A tear escaped, but she didn't hide it. I'm sharing this because I know so many people feel trapped in stories that don't belong to them. I want you to know, you can rewrite your story. You can reclaim your voice. You are not anyone's creation. You are your own. She swallowed the lump in her throat. And I'm grateful. Deeply, deeply grateful for the people who support me. I'm grateful for those who see me. And I'm grateful for the love I have now. Love that lifts me instead of breaking me. She glanced at Rafael. He looked at her like she was the entire universe. She ended softly. Thank you for listening, and for believing in who I truly am. She clicked stop, and exhaled. The video went live. Within minutes, thousands of supportive messages poured in. Within hours, "We believe Alina" trended worldwide. Within days, Leo's lies crumbled under the weight of evidence, testimonies, and public outrage. People defended her. People protected her. People saw her. For the first time, the world knew the real story. And more importantly, so did she. The letter that changed her forever. A week later, Alina received another letter. But this one felt different the moment she touched it. Handmade envelope, watercolor seal, delicate cursive handwriting. Inside, she found a letter signed by the National Association of Mental Health Advocates. She read aloud, voice trembling. Ms. Vargas, your bravery in sharing your truth has inspired millions. Your art has comforted countless people, and your message has become a beacon of hope. She covered her mouth with her hand. Rafael's arm slipped around her waist. We are honored to inform you that your artwork and advocacy have earned you the title of Humanitarian Artist of the Year. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Your story is saving lives. Thank you for showing the world that healing is possible. Alina pressed the letter to her heart. Rafael pulled her into his arms. Alina, he whispered, this is bigger than art. You're changing lives. She sobbed softly, not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude. I never thought I'd be anything, she whispered against his shoulder. I never imagined this. Rafael cupped her face gently. Look at what you've become, he said. Look at how far you've come. Her voice trembled. I'm proud of myself. He smiled, eyes glistening. You should be. I'm proud of you, too. The proposal life had been waiting for one evening. As the sun dipped over the horizon, Alina and Rafael walked beside the ocean, the same boardwalk where they had shared their first kiss months ago. But this time, everything felt different. Alina's life wasn't defined by heartbreak anymore, or fear, or scarcity. It was defined by courage, by art, by purpose, by healing, by love, real love. The sky glowed pink and gold. Waves whispered against the shore. Seabirds called faintly overhead. Rafael stopped walking. Alina, he said softly. She turned to him. He looked nervous, adorably so. I've been wanting to say something, he said. Something important. Her heart skipped. He reached into his pocket, not for a ring, but for something else. A small, hand-carved wooden box. When he opened it, she gasped. Inside was a necklace, a delicate gold pendant shaped like a tiny kintsugi heart, cracked and repaired with shimmering lines. Her kintsugi heart, the first drawing that started it all. He spoke quietly, voice trembling. You taught me what healing looks like, what resilience looks like, what love looks like. And I want to walk through every chapter of your life with you. Not to save you, not to change you, but to stand beside you as you continue rising. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to ask you for forever, he said, just today, and every tomorrow you choose me. Her voice broke. Rafael, I love you, he whispered, more than I've ever loved anything. Will you wear this as a promise that I'll never try to break you, only build you? She nodded, tears falling freely. Yes, she whispered, 1,000 times, yes. He fastened the necklace around her neck, fingers trembling. Then he pulled her into a soft, trembling kiss, the kind that rewrites entire futures, the kind that says, you are safe, you are loved, you are deserving, you are whole. And as the waves crashed softly behind them, Alina realized something profound. Her story had never been about being dumped. Her story had been about rising. The woman she became. Years later, but not many, Alina stood on a stage before an audience of thousands. Her name now carried weight across the world. Her book of illustrated stories became a bestseller. Her artwork hung in galleries. She created a foundation to support young artists from broken places. She advocated for mental health with global organizations. She changed lives, not by being perfect, but by being human. And now she delivered the keynote speech of the largest creative conference in the country. She looked out at the sea of faces, hopeful, hungry, hurting, healing, and spoke with the strength of someone who had rebuilt herself from ashes. My past tried to define me, she said, but pain is not identity. It's a catalyst. She touched the kintsugi heart around her neck. Every crack in your story can become a place where the light gets in, and every ending can become the beginning of something extraordinary. She smiled. I was once told I had nothing to offer, but the truth is we all have something to offer. We just need to stop giving our power away to people who can't see it. The audience rose in applause. Some cried, some cheered. All were moved, and as the applause thundered through the room, Alina saw Rafael in the front row, smiling, heart full, eyes shining with pride. She smiled back. She had become everything she once believed she couldn't be. And more. The life she built. Alina Vargas became a millionaire. Yes. But more importantly, she became whole. She became strong. She became loved. She became free. Not because someone saved her, because she saved herself. Rafael simply walked beside her, steady, supportive, never overshadowing her light. Her life was not the story of a girl who was dumped. It was the story of a woman who chose herself, healed herself, and transformed her pain into purpose. And perhaps that is the most beautiful kind of success. A life where the heart that was once broken now shines brighter because of every scar that tried and failed to break it.